For the 30th anniversary of GQ Men of the Year, we're looking back at 3 decades of change in men's fashion. Today, style is the cultural currency of our time. From the runway to the street, online and off, menswear is now a powerful tool of self-expression, influence, and identity. So how did we get here? The 1990s, the birth of modern fashion. In the early 90s, menswear was teetering on the edge of revolution. Minimalism was the order of the day, but mainstream style was being challenged by waves of subversion. Teenagers worshipped King of Grunge Kurt Cobain, while Wu-Tang Clan was spreading the gospel of boisterous streetwear.
Come on, baby, pump it up!
Skateboarding was one of the fastest growing sports in the country, dictating how millions of kids dressed. Meanwhile, fashion advertising grew louder and more influential. Calvin Klein's underwear ads, featuring a crotch-grabbing Marky Mark, caused a global sensation, and Ralph Lauren minted Tyson Beckford as the world's first black supermodel. Into the fray stepped a young American designer named Tom Ford, whose fall 1995 runway show for Gucci was the big bang that marked the dawn of a new era in men's fashion. Ford's opulent velvet tuxedos and sexy silk shirts had a 70s look, but they embodied the rebellious, in-your-face attitude sweeping the culture at that very moment. The menswear rulebook had officially been thrown out the window. The aughts, the rise of menswear tribes. As the millennium dawned, the radical fashion subcultures were now mainstream, with blogging and online forums stoking a new wave of style. Menswear began splintering into tribes. Were you a Carhartt-wearing urban lumberjack, a Supreme-obsessed hypebeast, a skinny jeans-clad indie scenester, or an Italian tailor and connoisseur? Whichever you were, there was a corner of the internet where you could nerd out. Fashion designers no longer sold clothes, they sold a lifestyle, and everyone wanted in on the action. Pharrell Williams launched his own label, Billionaire Boys Club, and Marc Jacobs invited pop artist Takashi Murakami to collaborate on a line for Louis Vuitton. Against this backdrop, upstart men's fashion designers like Thom Browne were determined to further blur the lines between fashion and art. When Browne launched his shrunken suit in the early aughts, people scoffed. But by the end of the decade, Browne's theatrical runway shows were the hottest ticket in town, and high-water pants ruled the streets. Fashion had become personal, performative, and captivating to anyone with a point of view. The 2010s, style becomes culture. Instagram launched in 2010, setting the table for a decade when fashion fully merged with pop culture. Street style became just as important as what was happening on the runways. Influencers became celebrities, and celebrities became influencers. And thanks to visionary designers like Alessandro Michele, menswear started to look lighter and more feminine, no longer defined by a rigid concept of masculinity. In fact, in this new anything goes era, anyone with a big idea and access to a screen printer could become a fashion designer. Enter Virgil Abloh, a sneaker-obsessed outsider who rose to the highest ranks of luxury fashion by turning the industry on its head. In Abloh's world, community was cooler than elitism, connections as important as classical training, and luxury was about creativity rather than just craftsmanship. All of this new energy transformed Paris Fashion Week from an insiders-only showcase into a star-studded Coachella of clothing. A new generation of fans began following fashion as they would professional sports. And at the same time, menswear-obsessed hoopers turned the NBA tunnels into their own runway shows, which became just as influential as the real thing. And when Abloh dropped his watershed Off-White and Nike collaboration, the ensuing global phenomenon proved that fashion had become core to modern identity. To stay on top of what's next, subscribe to GQ.